You know, if you're looking to get out of the city, get out of the rat race and move to the country, personally, I think that's a great idea. That's what we did back in 2021. We left the suburbs in North Dallas and moved out here out into the middle of nowhere in the country. And it's been great. We love it. We're on 13 acres, kind of off secluded to ourselves. It couldn't be better. But there's 5 things you need to consider if you're looking to buy your piece of paradise. So let's walk through those real quick. Number 1 is access. I mean, if your property is right off of a main road, then it really doesn't matter. You've got the access. Now, maybe that's too much access, right? That needs to be your consideration. But you want to make sure you've got easy way to access your land. We bought some land up in Oklahoma one time, and we ended up having to sell it. We couldn't get good access to it. The seller was telling us there was an easement in place, and legally it looks like it would have been. It was a very contentious deal with the landowners around us, so we ended up really not having good access to the land, so we ended up selling it to one of the other landowners so that they could use the land. It ended up being a waste for us. Make sure you've got access and make sure it's legal, and you might even talk to the landowner and make sure that they're going to be okay with you keeping that access. And even then, if they sell that property, now you could be moving into a contentious agreement with someone trying to access their land. Even if they legally have to let you use their roads to get to it, that doesn't mean they have to keep the roads repaired. The roads could be completely flooded or mudded out. There's no way you're going to get there. There could be trees falling across it and they're not going to cut them down. It could just end up being a lot of work for you to even access your land. The number 2 thing is consider your neighbors. Now, I know that can be difficult because sometimes you don't even know your neighbors, but go out and try to meet them. If you can, go try to find your nearest neighbors. You can look it up. There's numerous county websites where you can look up the name of whoever owns the property around you. Go meet them, talk to them, make sure you get a warm fuzzy. You can tell a lot by talking to somebody if they're going to be agreeable to working with you. Obviously, you're going to have shared fences, just anything. And you want to know what their plan is for the property too, especially if they're older. Are they leaving this to their kids, and there's a good chance their kids are going to sell it and subdivide it, or sell it to a company that's going to come in and do something with the land that wouldn't be desirable? Or are they a young person looking to, farm this land for the rest of their life, and they're going to have it in their family for a long time? So see if you can find your neighbors, get to know them, chat with them a little bit, and make sure you're all kind of on the same page of what you want this property to be. The number 3 thing to think about is restrictions. Check the restrictions on the deed. What is it restricted to? Sometimes the new owners that are selling it are going to want to put restrictions on it, and sometimes there have been restrictions that are passed down for hundreds of years. It could be anything as simple as restricting the size of the home, the number of homes on the property. It could be restricting the type of livestock you can have. There's numerous things that could be restricted, so make sure you check it and that you agree with them all before you purchase the land. Now, there's some good things and bad things with that too. No restrictions on your property may mean the properties around you may have no restrictions also, which could be fine, but now you could have somebody buying the property and putting in a pig farm, or putting in a chicken, a bunch of chicken houses or something. Or they could lease their land out for a solar farm or a site to bury carbon or anything. Now these kind of sites are coming up like crazy. And that's one of the problems we're starting to run into with our property. We don't have any restrictions from the county. There's no real codes on what we can do with the property. But the problem is it's the same thing for all of our neighbors. So any of them that want to lease their land out for solar farms or wind turbines or carbon reclamation or mining for lithium or anything like that, there's nothing we can really do about it. The number 4 thing is going to be utilities. Make sure you've got all the utilities you need. Now, it kind of depends on what you're using the land for. But even if your goal right now is just to hunt on this land, at some point you may decide you want to build on it. And are you going to have access to electrical, to gas, to water, everything like that? Now, some of that's changed in the last few years. Obviously, electricals is not much of a requirement as it used to be. You can put up your own solar panels and get your own power that way and have a battery system to store the power, but it still could be a little difficult during certain times of the year. Water, you may be able to drill a well, but for the most part, getting on city water is going to be your easier choice, but it's not available everywhere. A lot of these areas where there's lots of big plots of land were originally built as farm communities. They're not really serviced with water very well. We have very good electric and water where we are. We don't even have access to gas. We have an all-electric house. That's the only option we could do. Otherwise, we're going to be putting a propane tank outside and get propane brought in. The other thing as far as utilities is think about your internet access. That's been solved a little bit here lately with things like Starlink. They really helped out bringing high-speed internet out to the country. But when we first moved out here, we couldn't get Starlink at the time. We got on the waiting list. We were able to get 7 meg download DSL, and that's the best we could do. It was very much a struggle to work from home like that. Luckily, we've had a couple of companies run high-speed fiber through our area, so we now were able to get fiber with the local telco co-op, and that's working great for us. But make sure you check on the utilities, and don't just take the seller's word for it. Go validate with the local water department. Go validate with the electrical department. And again, depending on where you're going to build, how far away from the road, getting those services out to your house could be quite an expense. So they can help you get an estimate on what it's going to be to get your electricity ran out into the middle of your field if that's where you want to build, or get a water line out there. The stuff's not cheap. And again, some of these problems are solvable by money, and some just are going to be a no-go. And the fifth and the last thing to think about is access to services. And this is something we didn't really consider as we moved out here. We left an area in the suburbs that was full of urgent cares, full of ERs, full of doctors. You could call and pretty much get a doctor's appointment next day. And we moved out here where there's very restricted access to medical services. We're going to drive for a bit to get to an ER that we were comfortable with, or to an urgent care that we were comfortable with. And even then, trying to get a normal doctor's appointment, sometimes it goes for days or weeks before you're able to see someone. I know a couple of times we had an appointment we needed to make, and it was going to be like 2 months before we could even get an appointment to see the doctor. And depending on what you got going on, that may not be acceptable. So think about that. Think about access to stores, and that's pretty easy. I mean, nowadays you can order most things on Amazon or Walmart Plus or whatever, but even out here, Amazon services take about 5 days, even if it's something that would normally be 2-day shipping. We did learn that we can get it sent to the locker that's about 30 minutes up the road, and usually we can get it there next day or within 2 days. So that's an option to get something quicker, but it's got to be something small that's going to fit in the locker. So that was my 5 tips. If you're going to buy land, that was my 5 things that I think you should be considering. I would love to hear your other considerations. Please post them in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching. Y'all have a great day.